Welcome to my daily English learning. The Poor Man and Beautiful Wife. A poor man was married to a beautiful woman. The man and his wife never quarreled. The husband loved his wife. The wife loved her husband. They were very happy. But this happy couple had a rich, handsome neighbor. He saw the poor man's beautiful wife, and he fell in love with her. I want to marry her myself, he thought. Every day, when the woman's husband was working in the fields, the rich man went to the poor man's house. "You're a beautiful woman," he said to the poor man's wife, "but your clothes are old. Why doesn't your husband buy new, pretty clothes for you? I'm sure he doesn't love you. If he loved you, he would buy wonderful clothes for you. Divorce him and marry me. I will buy you beautiful new clothes, the best in the land. Then you will be the most beautiful woman in Ethiopia." At first, the woman didn't listen to the rich man. But he came to her house every day, and every day he said the same things. At last, she began to think, "Perhaps my neighbor is right. Why doesn't my husband buy beautiful new clothes for me? Perhaps he doesn't love me." That night, she said to her husband, "Look at me, husband. My clothes are old and ugly. I want new ones. Buy me some new clothes." Her husband smiled at her. "You don't need new clothes," he said. "You are the most beautiful woman in the world to me." She was angry. "Don't you love me?" she said. "If you love me, buy me a new dress." Her husband loved his wife, and he wanted to please her. Pull up for precise seek it. I have only a little money, and I need a new plow. But are my wife to be happy? So the next day he went to the market, and he bought a new dress for his wife. He took it home to her, and she put it on. "Thank you, my dear husband," she cried. "Now I know that you love me." When the rich man came to see her again, she was wearing her new dress. "You see," she said to him, "my husband loves me very much. He bought me this beautiful new dress." The rich man shook his head. "But a good husband doesn't only give his wife new clothes," he said. "He gives her gold. Where's your gold necklace? Where are your gold rings? Why doesn't your husband give you those?" He opened a box and showed her some beautiful gold jewelry. "Look at these," he said. "Divorce your husband and marry me, and I will give all those to you." The woman did not listen to him. "Go away," she said. "I love my husband, and he loves me, and we are happy together." But the rich man came again every day, and every day he showed her the box of jewelry. At last she began to think, "Perhaps the rich man is right. Why doesn't my husband buy gold for me? Doesn't he love me?" That day, she didn't make a fire. She didn't cook a meal. Her husband came home late after a long day in the fields. He was tired and hungry. "There's no dinner for you tonight," his wife said. "You don't love me." "What?" her husband cried. "Pull up for precise seeking." "But my darling, I love you more than anything. You are the most wonderful person in the world." "Then why don't you buy me some gold jewelry?" she said. When a man loves his wife, he gives her a gold necklace and rings for her fingers. Her husband looked worried. I spent money on her new clothes, he thought. How can I find more for gold? I'll go and see my brother. Perhaps he will lend me the money. I must buy gold for my dear wife. I want her to be happy. The next day he went to visit his brother. Lend me some money, brother, he said, and I will work for you in your field. All right, his brother said, but you must work hard. There are many stones in my field, and you must move them all away. Her husband agreed and took the money. He went to the market and bought some gold jewelry. Then he took it home to his wife. His wife was very happy. He put the necklace around her neck and put the rings on her fingers. "Look at me," she said. "Am I not beautiful?" "You're very beautiful," her husband said. "If you are happy, I am happy." She put her arms around his neck. Thank you, my dear husband," she said. "Now I know that you love me." The next day, her husband went out very early, before the sun rose in the sky. He ran to his brother's field. It was covered with stones. I must work very hard now, he thought. I must start early and stop late. I must pay my debt to my brother. His wife was working happily at home. I'll make a wonderful dinner for my husband tonight, she thought. He gives me wonderful presents. He works hard for me. I know that he loves me. Hello, a voice called out. Are you there? The woman went outside. Her rich neighbor was there. Ah, it's you, the woman said. Listen, neighbor, you were wrong about my husband. Yesterday, he bought me this beautiful jewelry. He loves me very much, and I love him. I will not divorce him. I will not marry you. The rich man was worried. Her husband loves her too much, he thought. If I want her, I must be clever. At last he said, Your husband gave you clothes and jewelry, but I can give you more than that. What? What do you mean? The woman cried. Can your husband make miracles? The rich man asked. Miracles? No, of course, he can't make miracles, the woman answered. Only Almighty can perform miracles. Humans cannot. But I can, said the man, because I love you. A true lover can do miracles. If your husband loves you, he can do miracles for you. If you love me, I will do a miracle for you. Now do a miracle for me, said the woman. I cannot do without your promise, replied the rich man. You must first promise to love me. You must leave your husband and come to me. Then I will perform wonderful, wonderful miracles for you. The woman said nothing, and the rich man left. That night, the poor husband returned home late. He was very tired and hungry. His wife fetched water for him, and he bathed. The wife brought him delicious food, and he ate it. My poor husband, she thought. He works hard for me, and he is very tired and hungry. The rich man is a fool. How can my husband do miracles? It is impossible. But the next day, and the next day, and the day after that, the rich man came to his house again. "Did your husband do a miracle for you yesterday?" he asked the woman. "Let him go and love me, and I will do many, many miracles for you every day." Finally, the woman began to listen to him. One day when her husband came home, she was upset. "Wife, dear wife, what is wrong with you?" cried her husband. "Are you sick?" "No," she said. "I'm sorry because you don't love me." "What?" cried her husband. "But you know I love you. I bought you new clothes. I bought you gold jewelry. You are the most precious thing in the world to me." "But you don't do miracles for me," said his wife. Her poor husband was very surprised. "Miracles? Of course I can't do miracles," she said. "Why do you want a miracle? Who gave you the idea?" "Our neighbor came to see me today," the woman said. "Love works miracles," he said. "If a man loves a woman, he will do miracles for her." Her husband was very worried. "This evil man wants to take my wife," he thought. "All this trouble came from him. When he first came here, he asked for new clothes. Then he asked for gold jewelry. And now he wants a miracle. What can I do? If I don't perform miracles, maybe my wife will leave me and marry him." The next day, he slowly went to work in his brother's field. "I must pray," he thought. "Only Allah can help me now." He looked up at the sky. He prayed, "O Almighty Allah, please help me to perform a miracle. I love my wife, and I want to keep her with me always. Don't let this rich man take my wife away from me." He then finished the work of removing stones from his brother's field and returned home, had dinner and went to sleep, but could not sleep for fear of losing his wife. Then sometime the husband fell asleep. He dreams in his sleep that someone is asking him, "Why are you crying? I will solve your problem. I have a gift for you. Look, there are 2 sticks here. They will work miracles. Touching someone with the first stick will make him an ass. And if I touch him with the second stick, what will happen?" the poor man asked the servant of the dream. "He will be human again," said the servant. The poor man woke up with a stick in his hand. "Oh, thank you, Almighty," he said. "I prayed to you and you sent someone to me. Now I can keep my wife and punish my enemy." "Wife," he called, "come here. I am going to perform a miracle." His wife approached him. "A miracle?" she asked. "What miracle?" "Look," said her husband. He touched her with the first stick. Immediately she became a donkey. She tried to raise her head to speak, but couldn't. Hee-haw, hee-haw. He could do it all. Her husband touches her with another stick. Immediately she became a woman again. "Husband, it's wonderful," she said. "It's a real miracle. How did you do it?" "I prayed to Allah," said her husband, "and He helped me. And now, wife, I am going to punish my enemy." "Your enemy?" said his wife. "Who is he?" "You know my enemy," said her husband. He was looking at her. He's not smiling now. "This is a rich man, our neighbor. He comes to our house when I work in the fields. He gives you a bad impression of me. Ask your husband for new clothes," she says. "Ask him for gold ornaments. Ask him for a miracle." Am I correct? Did our rich neighbor give you all these ideas? His wife said nothing. "And have you heard of him?" Her husband left. His wife did not look at him. The girl was ashamed. "I'm sorry," she said. "It's true, he said these things. He wanted me to divorce you and marry him, and I listened to her." "Now do you want to divorce me and marry her?" asked her husband. She looked at him. Her eyes filled with tears. "No, dear husband, I want to be with you forever and never listen to him again." "Then take this stick," said her husband, "and touch the rich man with it." He gave the first stick to his wife, but he hid the second on the roof. The next day he went to work. Soon the rich man appeared at the woman's house. "Shall we marry?" he asked her. "And can your husband still perform miracles?" "Yes," she said, and touched him with the first stick. Instantly, the rich man turned into a donkey. "Now," said the woman, "you can go to work and help my dear husband." He took the donkey to the field. Her husband worked there. He was removing stones from his brother's field. "Ah," he said, "a donkey. Now I can finish the job quickly." From that day, the poor man gave the donkey many heavy loads to carry. The donkey carried stones from the fields, sacks of teff to the market, and brought home flour and coffee. The poor man was not so poor now. The donkey was helping him. He keeps getting richer. One day, looking at the poor donkey, he stopped. It was tired, old, and bowed. The poor man regretted it. He went into his room and took out the second stick. Then he touched the donkey with it. Immediately the rich man stood there, but he was no longer a handsome young man. He was old. His back was bent. He was very, very tired. "You tried to take my wife away from me," said the poor man. "That was your wrong. Now go home. Don't look at other men's wives again." The rich man left, and he never came back. But the poor man and his wife lived happily together for the rest of their lives.